afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here. It's really a pleasure to be here. I'm actually an employee of the German Aerospace Center, DLR, but I'm now embedded in a team working for the European Space Agency. And as Leela mentioned, I'm a crew support engineer, and I'm more involved in astronaut operations. And it will be quite challenging for me to talk to you now because Ralph and Matthew, they already told almost all the good stuff, so I'll try not to repeat too much. First of all, I have no financial disclosure or any conflict of interest, just FYI. As I said, I'm a crew support engineer working for the European Space Agency, so I'm very much working with our European astronauts and trying to facilitate their daily lives and trying to take some of the workload away, because once our astronauts are assigned to a mission, they are very busy with training and of course with the spaceflight itself. So my job is really to take some of the workload away from them so that they can really focus on their mission preparation and mission itself. We are, for example, here in Florida regularly to support launch and landing operations, so we take care of the family during the launch and do all kinds of things around our astronauts. One of the things that I do is to procure the so-called ESA bonus food. And bonus food is a great thing. But what is it? What does it mean, bonus food? I mean, as the name suggests, it's really a kind of a bonus for our ESA astronauts. So to be precise, our European astronauts flying to the International Space Station are fed by the NASA food system. I would say up to 95% of the food they eat is really provided by NASA, and ESA provides the last, I would say, around 5% of the food, and this is the so-called ESA bonus food. And it's really dedicated for a particular mission, so it's procured and designed for a particular astronaut, for a particular mission. So it's really special, and I'm not sure, but I think we are the only space agency that really does that and has a food menu or a dish really prepared and tailored to the individual astronauts. And it's really a unique psychological support for our ESA astronauts because they can really choose the food they want to eat in space. They can select the chef they want to work with. They can take what they really like, or maybe something that they know when they were a child and really love to eat, or something that is maybe from their home region. Some of our astronauts also see themselves as ambassadors for their home cuisine, so they usually choose something that is typical in their home region where they're coming from. And we produce thermostabilized food or freeze-dried food, so it's really depending on the individual astronaut what they want to have in terms of bonus food. And this is really my job to procure this type of bonus food. We as ESA don't have a production facility. Many people think that we have like a factory producing food. No, we don't. We do that on a case-by-case basis. Every once in a while when we have an assigned astronaut, we reach out to renovated chefs, maybe even famous chefs, which the astronaut would like to work with, and then the chefs develop a recipe really tailored to the individual person, and then we look for manufacturers that can actually produce this type of food. So my work is really from chef selection to coordinating tasting sessions with the crew member, making sure the food is produced according to the NASA standards, because everything that goes up to ISS needs to be in line with certain standards. And then I also coordinate the label design, which is done with our branding office at ESA, and make sure the food is packed properly. And then we have a logistics partner in Italy who helps us to export the food items to the US and make sure it's uploaded to the space station in time for the mission. And it's really a great thing to have this food because the astronauts really like to share a meal together, and I think it's one of the most natural human things to really sit together, share a meal, socialize, exchange information, bond with each other. I think that's super important for space missions. not only for 6 months mission to space, but also when you think about long-term space flights, long-duration space flights lasting 2 years or even more, then food becomes even more important. And it's really a moral booster to have something that the astronauts really like to eat. And in this particular case, it's really great that they have something from their home region which they can really share with the other crew members on board. And since it's bonus food, it's not eaten on a regular basis, but it's just for special occasions, for example, birthdays, Christmas, when the crew gathers to share a meal. This is where they share our ESA bonus food. And yeah, there are some challenges ahead of us when we think about deep space missions and the food system for these deep space missions. And I really want to highlight the importance of food, because it's such an important thing for the crew to keep them sane, not only for a short duration mission, but it will become more and more important even for a deep space mission lasting a couple of years. And frankly speaking, currently, no food system exists to meet the nutrition, acceptability, safety, and resource challenges of extended exploration missions, such as the mission to Mars. So we have to work on this new food system, we have to develop it. And Ralph already introduced you to all the challenges we are facing currently, and also ESA is facing. Just want to highlight here again the safety aspect, because it's not only food safety in terms of microbial growth and fungi growth in food or in a food-producing facility, but it's also the crew aspect, crew safety aspect. So we need to make sure that the facilities, if we have any in situ food-producing facilities, we have to make sure that it's safe for the crew to operate. For example, if you have to change some blades in a bioreactor, that could be potentially harmful for the crew. Or think about toxic substances for cleaning the facility that could also impact crew safety. So I don't want to repeat all of that here, but I want to show you a couple of slides from my colleagues at ESA to show you how you guys can also get involved in facing the challenges. There's this open space innovation platform of ESA. One of my colleagues, Leopold, is coordinating this one. And it's really cool because if you are a member of one of the 22 member states, so you see the flags down at the bottom, if you belong to one of the 22 countries or to one of the 5 countries collaborating with ESA, for example, Canada is, you may be eligible to apply for this program. And it's a great program to fund novel ideas. So if you are a small enterprise or in academia, you can apply for this. And the Open Space Innovation Platform really builds the baseline or the basis of all our future space missions. So you can actually be part of it. And it's pretty simple because you just have to submit your novel idea in a form of an abstract. And then you can do that by submitting it to the open channel, or sometimes the program runs certain campaigns where they focus on specific topics for a short amount of time. But you can basically just submit your novel ideas at any time. And then ESA will have a look at it, and if ESA likes it and it matches to the ESA roadmap, then they will invite you to submit a mature proposal. And this is then be reviewed by ESA again, and at some point you may get the discovery contract. So a little funding for your novel idea that could be co-sponsored research, for example, a PhD study or a postdoc study, or just the study itself, or an early technology development. And there are already many of the projects that are funded by ESA, not only related to food. This is a program, of course, related to any aspect of spaceflight and technology development for spaceflight. But I just pulled up the projects which are related to spaceflight and especially to food. And one of the projects is actually solar foods, which we will hear about after the break. So really cool, really exciting little projects that are funded by ESA. And they really build the baseline of all our future program. As you heard by Ralph and Matthew, we are looking into deep space, gateway, but also Mars transit habitats. So your novel ideas, your basic experiments or basic technologies that we develop with you together will then be the building blocks of the future projects and future programs of ISA. So ISA is really interested in the whole food production process, from a single cell culture technique to a crop culturing technique to the end product on the fork. Of course, they are always looking at developing technologies, taking into account the space constraints, space environment, but developing technologies that can be really building blocks for some type of in situ food production for long-term and deep space missions. And they are also looking at the perception and acceptance level of this food. So as an example, you see here spirulina algae in form of gnocchi and tomato sauce, which I think look quite great on this picture. And ISA is also looking into how it's perceived, how it's accepted by people, because we should never forget about the human side of things. So it really needs to taste good, because as Ralph said, if the astronauts don't like it, they won't eat it. Another example is my colleague Joao. Joao is working on a cultivated meat project, and he would like to evaluate if this is maybe a technology that could also be used for in situ food production in long-distance space missions. Again, taking into account here the special conditions in space, developing this application. And he's also looking into the effects of simulated space conditions on the cell growth of this cultivated meat. So what happens under microgravity and conditions, what happens under radiation conditions with the cell growth. So these are the projects going on at ISA. It's really just in a nutshell what we are doing. But I just want to highlight here the human side of things, because in the end it's really a human being that needs to eat it and needs to like it for a duration of several years. So that is a very important aspect, and also the mental well-being, and food has such a huge impact on the mental well-being, so please don't underestimate the effects of good food on the crew performance during spaceflight. And again, there are some challenges ahead of us, and I'm really excited to talk to you about these challenges and the way you maybe contribute to solving the problems that we are facing. And I'm sure some of the challenges that we are currently facing for deep space food system are very similar to what we have here on ground in terms of challenges. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to discuss with you.